Course 3 From Sketch to Cinematic IP Building the Cinematic Page, Part 1 Rough Panel Layout. Welcome to the course where we actually get to draw a lot this time. This is great because when you do the panel layout, it's super rough. You're trying to get just enough information that you know what you're looking at and to make sure the storytelling makes sense. So you're trying to find out if anything that doesn't really work, how to make it work. Sometimes you find out that you have to add a couple more panels to get things for the reader to be very clear. This is a very fun stage because you're basically visualizing the movie or the story in your head and you're trying to make it work. And it's, so when I see it, I was trying to visualize, okay, is this a cut? This is an edit. How would I make it? Where is the camera going to move in like this? Are we going to be zooming in? So it's just a lot of fun. So the main goal here is not to have some pretty drawings. You just want to be rough and loose and have fun. At this stage, ugly drawings are good, fast is good, clear storytelling is the goal, and you are solving story problems, not rendering. You are designing the reading experience. You're not trying to do the final drawing at all. So let's go see how to do this. Okay, so it's important to know the safe area before you start. You don't want to be drawing stuff that gets cut out or get some information that gets cut out. You don't do some wasted time, and you don't want whoever's going to be printing that to be mad at you, and then it takes a lot of time for you to fix it. So let's try to make things easy. So you can get a template on the internet pretty simply. You just write a template comic book. There's different ones. And then I make sure that I have like a frame, just so I know where it's safe. And I have it's important to have your speech bubbles in there. And I start with the frame. So it's like I do a couple template frames. This one I'm doing a sketchy frame. It's the same brush texture that I'll be using just to help with the mood. And you see for the first page, I'm not doing some sketches because I have those from before when I did the designs, and I made sure that the designs are going to be, so it's not wasting my time, because I said before I want to do a 3-page comic in 3 days. So here I am taking those images. So I did basically a whole page in a couple hours. Even the characters, sometimes if you're going to do some designs with them, trying to get maybe an angle that you know you're going to use, because it's so time consuming sometimes. Any little help that you can get, just go for it. And no one's going to know in the end. And if they do, they'll probably say, oh, I wish I thought of that. I wish I would have done that. So this is the real first page. So taking the frames and I can resize them. I kind of have an idea. So you can see on my right, I have my script, just to always go back and forth, just to always glance through it and remember, it's like, oh yeah, this is what happens. This is what I wrote. So as you can see, it's so sketchy. I just make sure the size is right. So I look at the bodies and I just draw very loosely. I try to get the movement. It's important. I find that in your sketches, the movements always look way more dynamic. When you start drawing more rendered stuff, you really lose that looseness and that energy from the sketches. I think some little lines, they suggest movement that you're not going to be able to get later, and it's always frustrating, but you got to move on and hope for the best. Maybe some people will notice, but most people won't, and most people won't see how good your sketches were. That's weird. How good your shitty sketches were. When drawing comic books, I like to have a panel right after the other so you can really see the movement as if it was a cartoon. I think that's cool. That's my style. So here I am, page 2. So she gets her phone. Sometimes I add color just to remind us, like, oh yeah, I want she'll have blood on her hands, so have some blood on the screen. So it's important to get your speech bubbles in there. I go to Blambot. Blambot is a free website where you can get fonts, and they have tons of them. It's free. Some of them are free, some of them aren't. If you do use them commercially, you just have to give them the credit. So you just write on your comic somewhere, fonts by Blambot. And I've published 3 or 4 books now with some Blambot fonts, and I just gave them credit, and that was it. Never had any problem. So yeah, the speech bubbles, it's good. I always write them in there when I start doodling, just because you don't want to have a speech bubble that takes away from a lot of information that you drew, because you thought you had more space than you did. So you try and really get because we're just conceptualizing the page and make sure everything flows really well. So it's important to know that you're not going to be drawing, or you're not going to be putting a speech bubble over top something that's really important. And you try and have a flow with your bubbles. Yeah, try and get a flow with it. So as you can see the sketches, I make sure the eyes are looking in the right direction. I try to visualize like a director, and I try to cut it in my head as I'm drawing. So, okay, from if it was a movie, I'd be going from there to there. So make sure that your monster, if she's to the right, the monster is always looking to the right at her, and same with her. So the monster is to the left, so she's looking to the left. If you don't do that, you kind of get disorientated. It might be very confusing for the reader. So I think like a movie, this works for both storyboards, comic books, and movies. Some people who do comic books, they disagree. They always say that you should direct the motion to the next panel. I think that's I always think like a movie, and yeah, to me, that makes it really easy to read. Up to you. So referencing from manga, they have some action shots with panels and diagonal, and I think gives a bit of energy, and I took that from there. All right, so that's it for sketch doodles, panel doodles. I'll see you now the next chapter.